And now you mentioned India, but now you're managing a big team in Manila, which is not India. And so I'm curious, what do you do different, and what is your magic in making that team thrive and contribute much to the success of your whole department?
Yeah, I think, Sam, that is a great question because, the first aspect of anything that you do as a leader, whether it is Manila, whether it is China, whether it is Hong Kong, whether it is India, whether it is US, is people. And people like to be appreciated. And as a leader, it is your responsibility to put your people to what they do best and what they bring as their strengths. Because I feel that there is no one in the business who will not add value or who don't want to be successful in terms of what they do as their roles. That's number one. But then if we move from an individual perspective more towards an organization perspective, the things that we have to look more closely is the organizational culture, which is very, very important. And in order for us to do that, we have to just put a little bit of a, we call the fine nuances between how the culture of the organization is, but also how the culture of that particular region is. As an example, I feel if you look at the cultural matrix of Manila compared to India, there might be a lot of similarities in terms of their cultural mix, but in terms of how the people in Manila are and how do they work, is going to be a little different to how you would probably see in the US or somewhere else in the world. So I definitely follow the cultural framework and try to understand a culture a little bit better.
Mhm.
But then, if we put that back into the context and move away from theory into the practicalities of things, the two things I always look at. One is when we are forming a team or formation of a practice or a formation of a structure, what is an organizational structure we need to put at, right? That's very, very important. And the organizational structure is very much, around not what you want to bring as a HQ or as a hub into that center, but rather what is the organizational structure that would fit the mold of that country and the region. So that's very, very important. And with that organizational structure, what I mean is, what are the kind of rituals they have? What are the routines they have? Do they come to the office at 6 in the morning, or they like to come at 9 o'clock and start their day a little bit later? What kind of controls they want to have in place. They like to have more empowerment, or they want to have fraction ownership, or they basically want to be controlled by somebody at the regional level. What are the kind of power structures they have in the organization? Are they top down driven? Are they more driven based on power status, or people feel that I always need to report to my manager, and then that manager needs to talk to a director. So you will probably see that more of a hierarchical structure in more of the APAC regions than what you probably would see in the US, because they're very much based on the hierarchical views of looking at things. And then last but not the least, you also have to look, after you move from the organizational structure, you also have to move into the power structures as well, right? In terms of what do the employees feel? Now, there could be employees who are, who feel that, they don't have the empowerment, or they feel little empowered in terms of the decisions they make. In terms of low hierarchy requires greater coordination, and personal responsibilities and conflict may arise. So how do you take care of those nuances in terms of those power structures, and making sure that people who are extroverts also get the opportunity, but also it takes care of people who are introverts within that business as well, because it's not necessary that if you don't talk a lot, you're not good.